Almonte's Key Food, proudly serving communities throughout Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island for over 30 years. When you shop Key Food, you'll always find fresh products, great weekly specials, and exceptional personalized service. Visit at any of their Key Food stores at 8235 153rd Avenue, Lindenwood, New York, 935 Rosedale Road, Valley Stream, New York, and 6620 Avenue U, Brooklyn, New York.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Joining us now is the great Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis from New York. And before we get on a whole bunch of other topics, I got to ask you your thoughts, Congresswoman, on what's going on, especially when it comes to what's going on in crazy New Jersey at the ICE facility there. Because I don't know if you heard this, but the mayor says he's going to lift the curfew because he wants First Amendment. And then you got the Secretary of Homeland Security today saying it's not free speech when you bite, when you kick, when you punch federal agents.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable that the local elected officials are actually making the problem worse. Instead of actually trying to bring down the temperature and, get the situation under control, they're actually doing things to make it worse. And that's unfortunate. I have legislation I've just introduced, by the way, actually prior to what was happening in New Jersey, that would require 15-foot buffer. So protesters can have their right to free speech, but they cannot interfere and be in the way and hinder law enforcement from doing their jobs. And again, it's not freedom of speech when it's actually agitating. And not only that, we've heard horrific threats. I'm glad that we're seeing the Justice Department go after the individuals who have threatened the lives of these police officers. That they said that they were going to kill them, they were going to kill their children. They know who they are, they know what they look like, where they live. Very scary stuff that's happening, and it's really, I think, the temperature has gotten too hot, and it's because a lot of the elected officials are out there and they're saying things that are not true, and they're agitating the situation and making it such that we're seeing this type of horrible activity happening that could lead to somebody getting seriously injured or worse.
And then you got the New York State sanctuary law that just went into effect where the governor is essentially saying, no cooperation with the locals and saying no masks on federal agents. I mean, that is completely unfair when they're getting death threats to their home.
Yeah, I mean, look, New York has seen some horrific crimes caused by illegal immigrants, right? You had the guy who put a lighthouse on fire, killed multiple people. You had the guy who shoved the elderly veteran in the subway tracks, killing him. You've seen multiple crimes take place of individuals who were driving under the influence and killed people in our region. And it's just like one thing after another. And what is the governor and the mayor doing? They're actually doubling down and actually making it even more difficult. And let's remind everybody that Laken Riley, who was killed in Georgia by an illegal immigrant, that individual, that perpetrator, was in New York. He was arrested for a crime. He was released back onto the streets because of New York sanctuary laws. And he went over to Georgia and killed Laken Riley, another preventable murder. So I've just given you four or five examples of American citizens who were killed in our area. Most of them were in New York, and the DUI was in New Jersey, but in our city that were killed by people who were here illegally. And what does the governor do? She says, we're going to make it harder for ICE to do their jobs, and we're going to punish any county or any municipality that allows their law enforcement to cooperate in any way. That is just really, really short-sighted. It's going to end up leading to more people getting hurt. And, I think if you had more cooperation, actually, we wouldn't see the chaos that we've seen in the streets, whether it be in Minneapolis or whether it be, now in New Jersey. If there was actual cooperation where the people who ICE requested detainers for, if they were turned over, you wouldn't have this type of stuff spilling out onto the streets. And, when you talk to, ICE, and they tell you they deny all these detainer requests for horrible, horrible, dangerous people that have committed horrific crimes, they will not cooperate under any circumstances to help turn those people over. I think we got to go after those judges too, by the way, the judges who are helping people sneak out the back door, when it comes to criminal court.
Yeah, that one, especially that one in Wisconsin. Oh my gosh, Congresswoman. Here's Rudy Washington.
Nicole, I think it shouldn't be missed on people that night before last, that was the state police they attacked. It wasn't even ICE. They went after the state police.
Yeah, anybody in uniform.
This is the same crowd that's defunding the police, So none of this makes any sense. They want zero law enforcement.
That's right. I mean, and look, we know their policies don't work. We know that what they're trying to do here, they're trying to dismantle ICE. They're trying to dismantle local law enforcement. These are not people who want law and order in communities. These are not people who care about public safety of you and your families. I mean, they are people who, at the end of the day, all they do is try to make it more difficult for law enforcement to do their jobs, or they're driving them out. Here in New York City, we're fortunate, that things are not turning out the way Mondani said they would when he said he was going to, defund the police. He was the leader of the defund the police. And then he was the person who said he was going to do a hiring freeze and not hire any more cops. Well, you know what? Thankfully, we have NYPD Commissioner Tish there, and she's doing a decent job. He's letting her run the department, and we are seeing, they just announced they're going to be hiring some more cops. And I met with her last week. They're going to be coming, some of them, to my district. We've had a long-standing issue with cops being taken away from our district and moved to other districts. That's not going to be happening anymore. And so we're happy about that. So, look, we do what we can to help the police and back the police. I think it's really important. I'm proud of delivering millions of dollars for our NYPD and federal funding, and I'll continue to do that. But look, I think we learned in 2020, right, what it was like when you don't support our police. And we saw the chaos on the streets of New York City. Let's not go down that route again.
Yeah, we cannot have it go there again. Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, thank you for always fighting the good fight for our men and women in blue. Thank you.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball.
This week, come out to the ballpark as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars at Staten Island University Hospital Community Park for a homestand on June 10th for a 5-game series as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. Individual game tickets start at just $12.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.